Labs here, and in this video I want to tackle a pretty specific topic, much more specific than some of the other videos that I've done before, and that is the idea of healing specials. I think for a lot of people, when they hear the word healing in a fighting game, they maybe get some PTSD, and I think like that's kind of warranted. There's definitely ways that healing can be broken in a lot of fighting games, but I'm happy to tell you that at least in MGP2, healing specials are generally like not very good. They're like okay at best, I think. And it's not even like there's like a lot of characters who have them. Basically, only 3 characters in the game have them, and that is Geronimo, Mr. Khamen, and Akuma Shogun. So in this video, I'd like to kind of like break down kind of like how healing specials work in this game, kind of like all the little quirks with them, and then we'll take a look at each of these characters individually to basically see, you know, I'm gonna rank them from the worst healing special to like the best, and kind of see how good each of their individual healing specials are, right? With that said, let's jump into it. Alright, so first off the bat, healing specials are, as the name implies, special moves, right? And in MGP2, all special moves cost meter. For example, Mr. Khamen here, when I do like his healing special, that, you know, costs 3 bars, right? So it's already a bit of an inherent kind of like downside to healing specials, that there's an opportunity cost to them, because meter is basically used for all kinds of special moves, right? Khamen has like a 5S or a 4-4S, right? So going for healing specials basically means that you are not, you have less meter to use on your other special moves, right? So a bit of that inherent kind of like built-in downside to it, quote unquote. This is also like the other thing that where they don't really heal you for like that much, right? Mr. Khamen, for example, I'm gonna do it again. If you notice, right, it heals about like that much, which for specific numbers, Khamen's heal for like 125 life. And with 1024 life, that means it heals about 12%. So, you know, completely uninterrupted, just like there, it heals for like 12%. And when you consider that, you know, this is a 3-bar special move, you gotta ask yourself, is burning 3 bars to heal 12% worth it, right? Healing specials also have this quirk where the healing happens like in increments. Here I have the game slowed down to 50%. Maybe like see a little bit better, right? But watch Mr. Kamen's like life as I do like the special move. If you notice, right, he doesn't gain all of the life all at once. He gains it like kind of like in ticks, right? Here I'm gonna go bring up Mr. Kamen's like kind of frame data for like his healing. And if you notice there, it's not like just one flat value like boom, there's 125 life. He basically heals it in intervals. And that's kind of true for all of the healing specials like in this game. You heal kind of like in intervals, right? If you see that Mr. Khamen basically has like 5 intervals where he heals like progressively like more and more life, right? Heals 15 and then 20 and then 25, 30, 35, right? So he basically heals it like in 5 ticks. Now what this means is that if you're interrupted while you're healing, that basically means that you won't heal for the full amount. And since like the healing is kind of like backloaded, getting interrupted midway, you're basically like not even healing halfway through, right? So here I'm gonna do Khamen healing, and then I'm gonna have Kinnikuman interrupt him, right? There I think I only got like 1 or 2 ticks in, right? Which basically means I only healed like 35 points. Maybe those 3 ticks, which still is only 60 life healed, right? Which is, you know, kind of really poor if you spend 3 bars for this. Pulling up the frame data up again here, you might notice that it's a pretty long move, right? Of course, this is not a universal healing frame data for every character, but in general, they are pretty slow moves. Comments here, you can see it's pretty slow to start up and has like a really long time to recover, right? And this basically means you can't really just do it out of nowhere. If you just do it kind of in neutral, you kind of see what happened before, then you kind of like just get hit out of it, and you're kind of sad because you just burned 3 meter to heal like less than 100 life, right? So really, the most ideal situation to like heal is when maybe you get a knockdown, and then you just create space, and then you just kind of heal up, right? Those are kind of like the only chances where you get to heal, and even then, you know, you're not healing like that much, right? So back to what I was saying earlier, that healing specials generally just don't really heal for a lot. There's one additional quirk to healing specials that I do want to highlight a little bit, which you might have already like noticed from the previous instances of healing, right? And if you notice here, I have like the player 1 set to 30% life. That's kind of when the low health buff of Kikiri kicks in. But if you heal and you basically go up from like that 30% threshold, you will, you know, lose that buff, right? I don't know what game I'm thinking of right now. I'm sort of blanking, but I do think like there's like a fighting game out there where if you like there's like a low health buff, but if you heal out of it, you're still having like that buff applied. MGP2 doesn't work like that. Once you heal out of like the 30% threshold, you will kind of go back, you will kind of lose those buffs, right? So with that said, let us now go through each of the character one by one, kind of starting from the kind of like the worst healing special to like the best healing special, right? Alright, kicking things off is Geronimo, who probably has undeniably the worst healing special out of like the three characters, right? Now, to his credit, Geronimo's healing special like is unique from the other two in that it heals the most life, right? Watch this, right? If you notice, right, he went from 30% to maybe about roughly 50%-ish, right? And that's because Geronimo's healing special heals for 240 life, which is the most out of anyone, right? Khamen heals for 125, and as you saw earlier, and as you will see later, Shogun's also heal for 125, so Geronimo's heals the most. But if you notice there, right, that took quite a lot of bars, didn't it? Geronimo's healing special took 7 bars. Let's do that again, right? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, gone, right? And 7 bars is quite a lot of meter, which makes it really hard to use like this healing special move. To the point that you can argue that it's not really viable just because of like how much it costs. This problem is kind of made worse by the fact that Geronimo really wants to use that meter to be doing other things, right? Geronimo kind of needs meter to like really do big damage, and as I'll demonstrate here, though granted like this a bit skewed because like the blue KKD buff is active, he can do like a lot of damage if he spends meter, something like this. Right? That's a cool like 60% by spending like 5 bars, which again, granted that was like with the blue health buff, but it becomes kind of hard to justify spending 7 bars to heal yourself, or about 25%, a bit less than. When you have the idea of if I have 5 bars stock, I can just blow up the opponent. Let's take a look at Geronimo's frame data. If you'll notice there, this is a bit unique because like the recovery like is a lot shorter and it heals like in less increments. You saw earlier that Kamen's healed like in 5 increments. Geronimo only heals in 3. So if he gets interrupted like on like the second increment, then you know he's still healed 150, which is already more than what Khamen or Shogun heals for, right? So even like only the first 2 ticks for Geronimo is already more than like those other characters. But if you see it there, right, Geronimo has a pretty big gap between his ticks, right? Like the 24 then next to his active frames basically means that he has a 24 gap between each increment. So he goes like heals for 70, 24 frame gap, 80, 24 frame gap, 90. And that's very long, right? The other characters, the increments are like much closer together, which basically means that like Geronimo, like there's a pretty good chance that he gets interrupted after even like just like the first like increment because of like how long it starts up and how long it takes to basically heal the increments, right? Things actually get worse for Geronimo because even aside from everything else I already mentioned before, his healing special is also probably the most vulnerable one. Even aside from his frame data, which is, I think, pretty easy to agree, is the worst out of all the 3 characters with a healing special move. His healing special move is also the one with like the least evasiveness to it. It doesn't have any throw involved or struck involved or anything. It's kind of like just like standing there, like massaging his heart, right? Which leaves him completely open to being hit if you're not using it like in a safe area. For example, here I'm gonna do Geronimo's healing special, and Kinnikuman can just like for free just do 2A 5S, right? That's something that you can't really do like with the other characters. Even worse is that, you know, if they're just on top of it, right? He's completely throwable too. So if Geronimo is just healing up, Kinnikuman can just like do his Kinnikuman Buster for free and probably do more damage to you than the amount that you healed up, right? And that's really rough for Geronimo. And it's for these reasons that Geronimo's doing special is probably the worst, kind of like by a wide margin actually. Probably the one that I would even say is kind of just unusable. Whereas like the other characters, there's probably like is still somewhat usable. Now, Mr. Khamen, we already talked about him a bit before earlier, so I won't like retread too much, right? In summary, his costs 3 bars. It heals for like 125, which is also about 12% of his health, right? It heals like in 5 increments of like 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, right? And the frame data isn't amazing, but it's not bad at all, right? The recovery is definitely kind of scary, but it's not awful at all. Now, since Mr. Khamen's healing special is floating, This does give him some evasiveness in that a lot of kind of low pokes will just go under him, right? If I'm doing like the special move and I just do like Kinnikuman MGP2, you can see like it's whiffing while the healing is happening, right? That's kind of neat. That's a way to kind of avoid some damage, right? Additionally, this also means that if you hit out of the air, it won't cause like a standing hit, it will cause like a juggle. Here I'm gonna do that, right? You kind of see like it hits airborne, right? And this basically means the cats can't really get like a standing combo on him, so that even if he's punished and hit out of it, he's probably like not taking a huge damage out of it. Now, that said, some cats like Soldier, for example, who has like better kind of juggling tools, probably can still get something out of like this kind of air float. So it's not like he's completely out of the woods, right? Like that, Soldier can still get like an air juggle, which is, you know, that's still a good punish, relatively speaking. Another maybe unfair property is that despite the animation of him doing this, right, the move isn't actually throw involved. I'm gonna do this now. I'm gonna have to like Soldier throw, and the throw like just connects, right? And to make things worse, that was Soldier's back throw. For reference, like this is like his forward throw, like his regular throw, right? And this is his back throw, right? So if you notice there, not only does the healing is still throwable, it results in the opponent getting like a back throw, which normally is more damage than like the regular normal throw. Being throwable kind of also means that you can get special throw, which is definitely like not great. Because special throws like do a lot of damage, right? So this is still like a lot like Geronimo, like in that regard, that you can still just randomly get thrown despite the animation and just die off that. So like before, make sure you have the space to use it before you actually commit to using the healing, right? Now, a pretty funny specific niche with Khamen is that he does have like his time stop super, right? Which causes the opponent like freeze if they hit them. Like its counter super costs 9 bars, right? And you might think, okay, that freezes them, but I just spent all my bars, how can I heal after that? So that's where Red KKD comes in. Because Red KKD, when you activate it, you basically get infinite special moves for that KKD period. So what you can do, for example, is you can pop KKD, do the super move, your opponent bites, and then you just like, you know, create some space, heal up, and you basically get maybe 2 or 3 free heals while your opponent is frozen, right? So that's one niche you can use. It's kind of gimmicky, but it is something that you can kind of do if you really need to heal up, I guess. So in all, Khamen is a pretty okay user of the healing special. Like you can kind of use it if you have like the space for it, or maybe after you stop time, right? But in general, it's not like amazing or anything. It's definitely like not something that's essential to his toolkit. Something that I didn't mention earlier, and is like kind of my bet, is that Khamen has this problem where he is kind of dependent on meter to function. Kind of Khamen's whole deal is that he has to do like this like 4/4 special, which costs 2 bars, right? And he needs this for like his juggles, his OTGs, his knockdowns, all that stuff, right? And so it's kind of hard to justify using the healing special when you just really need to do 4/4S to just the character, basically. But yeah, that's Khamen, basically. So next up, let's take a look at the one left, who is clearly, you know, the best user of healing specials, and that is Akuma Shogun. Alright, last up, Akuma Shogun. This jerk. If you know anything about MGP2, you probably know that he is top 1 in this game, and of course that also means he has the best healing special in the game, because of course he has that, right? Now, his is pretty similar to Mr. Khamen's, right? It's kind of floating. It heals like in 5 increments as well. It also heals for like 125, except since Shogun has higher health, 125 is closer to like 10% than like 12%, like it is for Khamen. He also look at the frame data there. It's like pretty similar to Khamen's, except like it is a little bit faster and it recovers a bit faster as well. Of course, if you notice, Shogun's healing special only costs 2 bars, and that helps a lot, right? Geronimo's cost 7 bars for context. Khamen's cost 3 bars. Akuma Shogun only 2 bars. Why not, right? And that helps a lot because that basically means like it's less of like a upfront cost to pay. It feels like less bad paying for a 2-bar healing special that, by the way, heals as much as like Khamen's compared to paying 3 or god forbid 7 bars, right? This is also made better by the fact that while Shogun has really good specials, and don't get me wrong, this is like one of the best specials in the whole game, he doesn't need special moves to function, right? He can still casually do 40% of your life without using special moves, which means if he wants to, he has more meter to be doing this. Also, if you look at the frame data again, if you see there, Shogun's has throw involved, right? It just has straight up throw involved. Unlike Khamens and definitely not Geronimo's, which are completely like, throwable, Shogun's just have straight up throw involved. I'm pretty generous at that. And this basically means when he's doing it, he just can't be thrown out of it. You're gonna do it again, and Kinnikuman tries to do like Kinnikuman Buster, it just whiffs because he's completely throw involved. This makes it like much harder to punish. Of course, you can still do the same thing like with Khamen, right? Where you can like still go for like jab, but like I said earlier, unless your character like has a good juggle out of a float, this doesn't really lead to a lot. The thing is, in a more meta sense, right? Contextually, the healing special can be really good for Shogun because of kind of like depending on how you play him, right? The thing about Shogun is that he has the highest health in the game, tied for highest, but highest health in the game at 1200, right? This basically means that generally opponents will have to hit him more than he has to hit them, right? And this basically means that especially like if a Shogun player is playing like very conservative, very like defensively, they basically can kind of play like that game because their frame data is so good, their buttons are so good that if you just instill the fear to the opponent, Shogun can kind of just say, I'm just gonna dictate the pace of the match, and I'm just not going to overextend. And this basically means that really defensive Shogun players often can go to timeout. And of course, like in this game, like every other fighting game, when time runs out, whoever wins is the one with the most life. And Shogun, if time is running low, can just create space, kind of spam this move to basically like maybe like get ahead of your opponent and win from timeout that way, right? So this is of course something that's kind of true with Khamen and Geronimo as well, but considering everything else with how cheap Shogun's healing is, how much health he has to begin with, how he's able to kind of like force opponents to respect him, this gives him like more breathing room and more chances to basically win from timeout by using the healing special. Right? So yeah, Shogun is far and away the best user of the healing special. I'll even argue he's probably like the only user that's like using it is kind of like viable. So this is more so because of like just how strong he is already, that this isn't really like a loss for him to use compared to other characters. That doesn't really mean healing is like really good in this game, or rather, the specials that let you heal is really good in this game. It's more like just to do with how good Shogun is, that he can have this kind of mediocre move and still make good use out of it, I guess. But yeah, of course he just gets to have like the best one to begin with, even aside from his toolkit, right? Just because that's how Shogun be, I guess. So, let's summarize. 3 characters with healing: Geronimo, Khamen, Shogun. Geronimo's is kind of awful. Khamen's is kind of not bad. Shogun's is kind of decent, right? Generally still baseline-wise, not amazing. So, that's kind of healing specials in MGP2. Is it amazing? No. Why did I make this video? But, I hope like this was kind of illustrative, I guess, maybe kind of entertaining a little bit. Maybe show off like one of the more unique kind of special moves in this game, because again, no one else in this game has even something close to like healing than these 3 characters, right? So I figured I wanted to kind of highlight that today to kind of just show off a bit of that mechanic in this game, right? I've linked all 3 of these characters, like Mizumi pages, like down in the description if you want to like learn more about these characters. Of course, healing is such a small part of these characters, right? Kind of even prefaced by saying that they're not even very good to begin with. So if this kind of made you interested in any of these characters, hopefully not for the healing, because again, like I said, healing not that big of a part of the character, then go check out like those characters, right? And likewise, if you enjoyed like this video, kind of like these more specific videos, or even like some more like general videos, let me know like down in the comments, right? I'm definitely trying to be making more content about this game now, trying to spread the good word and all that stuff, especially with the new anime coming out, right? So if you have any suggestions for videos, any requests even, I guess if you want to put it that way, feel free to sound it out in the comments below. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And if you're seeing like the channel for the first time, I have like a bunch of videos a lot like this too, where just kind of take a look at different MGP2 mechanics, MGP2 characters, and kind of show them off. So if you haven't yet, give them a look. This has been Fish Rabs, and I will see you in the next video.